I grew up with the wishes of growing up fast. I had this vision that growing up meant that I was able to make my own decisions in life and choosing who I could be as a person. There was nothing about self-acceptance that I had known during the time. Instead, it was acceptance of others. I was born in San Diego, California on July 24th, 1999, belonging to a family of four, which consisted of my father, mother, and my brother. Within 8 years of my existence into the world, due to my dad's job as an electrical engineer, we moved to Irvine within 3 years, and then to San Jose, California. My father had constant business trips to Taiwan, and when I was 8 years old, that was when my family decided to make a move back to my mother and father's ultimate home.
But this story is all too complex, and here's the tea for a glimpse in my life.
It all started with a pendant, a butterfly pendant. I was walking with my dad, and we came across this store, Claire's. I asked my dad if I could have my ears pierced during that time, and he said that I had to wait till I was 18 for me to have one, so I ended up getting a necklace with a butterfly pendant. From the years 2008 to 2009, my father would have constant business trips flying from California all the way to Taiwan. My father later told me and my family that we would be moving on to Taiwan for the long haul. I was so excited. Taiwan in my mind was stinky, close-knit, and had grandma's cooking. Before I was leaving to Taiwan, my necklace broke. The clasp over there started to worn out, and I had to super glue it, but it looked like this white booger that I absolutely hated. At that time in California, I had a tutor named Kawada, and I would have really close bonds with her, looking into her pencil box, asking her where she got her things. And I mentioned that my necklace was broken and she offered to help me fix it. The thing was, I wasn't able to find the last time to see her for her to give it to me. I don't know what I was feeling at that time, but I didn't want to have tutoring class. Probably because it was like the last day and I was like, we didn't even need a tutor at all. So she still had my necklace because she said she would fix it, and my mom got the plastic bag of the fixed necklace. Getting that necklace had me resorting into feeling like I was upset. I finally began to realize the fear, the guilt, the sadness that I had when I was finally going to be leaving California and I was going to be heading off to Taiwan. I just didn't know what was going to happen. What was the future to hold? Am I going to have friends? Am I going to fit in? All of these feelings just came down to me. Starting our new lives here. I would later come to have some close friends. I would hang out with them and also share my secrets. And also talk about the crushes that I happened to have during my time here.
And that was when I was in elementary, so it was just these little, not really knowing myself that well until middle school.
Our school was located next to Science Park, which is considered as the Taiwan version Silicon Valley. A lot of our classmates' parents were actually of a similar background. A lot of people in my class were working in the prospects of tech or business. I was 1 in 4 people in my class who actually wanted to do something that was creative. At this time, I really wanted to act. I was very into aspects of social justice as well and making a difference, so I wanted to be able to do that. And this is where it kind of strings on to the difficulty that I later came to have. Being in my surroundings and also the people around me, everyone cared about their GPAs. It was a way, being that we are an international school, we had such high regard for grades. And I couldn't live up to that kind of expectation that was given, and it really made me wish that I was back in California, where I thought things would presumably be easier. And this thought continued on. I would watch Mean Girls, Clueless, Glee. I had been consuming a great deal of American culture during my time back in international school, and I always felt like I needed to go back to California because that was where I belonged, that I didn't belong here in Taiwan, and America and the high school experience was going to be a lot better. I began to detest my culture and being in Taiwan. I found Taiwan to be very behind when it came to social justice and very homogenized. I was largely in an international school where I felt like everything was just living all in a competitive bubble. A great deal of my classmates just grew up in a very similar background and as well of a social economic status. I found myself not learning Chinese or Chinese social studies as studiously as I wanted to. I would make the way that I said Chinese to sound as American as possible so people from Taiwan would know that I was not born from here. I tried to look as American as possible as well, with the way that I dressed and the way that I presented myself. It was only nearing the end of senior year where I started to kind of have this shift of wanting to truly appreciate Taiwan. I was already going to go to university in New York City. I knew that I wasn't going to be here in Taiwan very often. Summer rolled by, then I was starting university in New York City. In my first semester being in America, I had a hard time adjusting on my first semester. People on my floor were so open about their deepest troubles, sharing so quickly, and I, usually considered the loud one, was the one that had difficulty sharing my experience because it was so different from other people. References that people would connect to, the experiences, the understanding of American culture, which was odd because I felt like I was surrounding myself all the time with American culture, but I just couldn't connect with other people. I had begun to miss my family back in Taiwan. There's not a lot of people from Taiwan here in New York, and I had difficulty trying to connect to some people. Living in Taiwan for 8 years of my life, it felt so weird to be back in the States. I also had difficulty in what I wanted to study. I came into university with being undecided, but I knew that I had the prospects of wanting to do performing arts and also social justice. I just had the difficulty of not knowing how I could integrate that as well. And I didn't have the support of my family to be able to help be there for me. But the thing was, being so far away from Taiwan and connecting with so many people of different cultural backgrounds made me realize I stuck out in a positive way. I was special because I came from a different country, and I was able to compare and contrast the cultural attitudes of both Taiwan and America. Before I started to really appreciate and have a need to delve into understanding more about Taiwanese culture, my father said that he had accepted a job offer back in California. He told me that we were going to move back to our home in California on July 2018. Outrage, confusion, and frustration came to me. How come when I was starting to really appreciate Taiwan, did I end up having to move back with my family? I told my parents that I was going to stay in Taiwan until August 2018 because I wanted to maximize the time I was able to have with my friends. I stayed at my grandparents' house and spent most of my days exploring the streets of Taipei, the capital city of Taiwan. The social justice side of me started to allow me to notice the traditional homogenous community that Taiwan had that brought forth this very interesting heteronormative standpoint of life. This social justice lens was largely influenced by my beings in America. And I took that to take it to Taiwan, where I would constantly analyze social constructs that were presented in Taiwan. On my last day in Taiwan, before I was about to fly, I was cleaning my room that I was staying in my grandparents' house. Cleaning had me come across the butterfly pendant necklace, the one that Kawada, my tutor, had fixed for me. All of the emotions started to flow with me. I was in the same position that I was back when I was 9 years old. Scared, unsure of what the future was to come in my time here in Taiwan. Flash forward to the 18-year-old me, and it just came to me that all of the memories that I had in Taiwan, a place that taught me how to grow in the most excruciating way for me to be the passionate, loving person that I am now. And I was so, so proud of it.
She knew that everything was going to be okay because she was in the same position as her 9-year-old self. Look at so many things that had happened in her life and where she is right now, and she's just so proud of herself. No matter the hardships that happen, she's going to be okay. Her environment had allowed her to do so. She was able to see this potential and ability of herself that she never thought she would be able to see so.
On the day of her flight, she wore that necklace. She took a step in the airplane, sat down, and looked out at the window.